Wonder Chrissy of Migrant Mayhem at Land Cruiser Midwest. Today is Thursday, I think. Yes, Thursday, January 25th. And we've got a good one for you today. Things are coming to a head everywhere. We've got some stuff going on in Texas where there's some issues with the governor there and the federal government. We also have our buddy Brandon is in the Chris Christie of the Midwest, J.B. Pritzker, are coming to heads again in another game of Migrant Chicken, and we'll see how that pans out. But Brandon's saying that he doesn't want any more shelters put up in Chicago. JB says he doesn't agree with that, and he's looking to help the city, but the city's got to tell him where they want the shelters. Brandon's firing back saying, hey, these any new shelters don't have to be in the city of Chicago. So we got some gamemanship going on in Chicago. Also south in the border, Boston, Massachusetts, there's maybe we'll show you at the end, there's a airport, Logan Airport in Boston is overrun. Their shelters are filled. So a lot of cities have filled shelters, are running out of money, and don't have any idea what to do next. And it's showing. It is showing. Let's get this video up here for you guys so we can show some videos.
I know folks may.
Let's see what we got here. Okay, so we're going to play Brandon Johnson defending his actions and talking about what he thinks should be done next. So let's play this. And there we go.
They have questions about my style, but don't question my leadership.
According to Brandon, he's a born leader. If he can figure that out, he says he's a born leader. Give me a break.
Brandon Johnson goes on the defensive over how he's handled the migrant crisis. With the lack of funds to open any new city shelters, Johnson would not say whether he will extend the February 1st deadline that evicts migrants from shelters after 60 days.
We're going to work really hard to continue to find as many options as we possibly can so no one has to be out on the street.
Incoming!
Earlier this week, Governor J.B. Pritzker said he's very concerned about the lack of new shelters for migrants in Chicago. The state has allocated an extra $160 million to help, but Pritzker says he's waiting on the city for a plan.
The city has not told the state where they would like us to put our resources to build new shelters or help them build new shelters. So we can't help if they don't identify those locations.
Johnson says the city has given the state several shelter location sites, and the mayor reminded the governor the state could use the money to build a shelter anywhere.
Shelters do not have to solely be
Watch out if you're in the suburbs. Brandon is plotting his next move to have these people shipped to your city, and he may just send a bus to your town. I would not second guess Brandon what he would do. They're going to be showing up at your front door, folks.
set up and built in the city of Chicago. The state can do it wherever they want.
Despite the back and forth.
Let me play that one again. This is where Brandon sees everything going.
Do it wherever they want.
Despite the back and forth, Johnson says he and the governor are not at odds with each other over the migrant crisis. Meantime, Edgewater residents sent a letter to the mayor demanding that the
Residents are getting on edge too. Everybody is on edge today, and it's only third week in January.
Be returned to the neighborhood as a community center. For the past 6 months, it has housed over 300 migrants.
There was so many programs at the Armory that have been shut down. We've been really left out of the loop, per se. We've reached out to the city numerous times.
The city promised residents it would reevaluate the Armory as a shelter by February 1st, but 48th Ward Alderman Lenny Mata-Hoppenworth doubts the building will be returned.
What's that name again? Say that again. What's her name? Jeez, every time we play videos, you always get a good name. This is another good name.
But 48th Ward Alderman Lenny Mata-Hoppenworth doubts the building will be returned to residents anytime soon.
The Broadway Armory is going to continue to be a migrant shelter, but that is not going to stop us from continuing to talk to our colleagues and our administration.
And there are 28 migrant shelters in Chicago, and all are full. Earlier this week, the mayor met with about
no room at the end, folks.
He asked for their help with the crisis in any way they can. And the city may be helped a little bit because the buses have slowed down. I think today they expected one.
Yeah, wait till the warmer.
Watch breaking.
All right, so the buses have slowed a little bit as the governor of Texas is
Gotta take you to the southern.
dealing with Joe Bergen in D.C. about razor wire and whether or not people can cut his razor wire that he's put up. So let's check out that video. And here we go. We're talking about razor wire.
Southern border where the battle continues this morning.
Texas National Guard soldiers putting up more razor wire in the Eagle Pass to increase border security, despite the federal government allowing border agents to remove or cut that wire. Kennedy Walker joins us live in the studio. And Kennedy, neither side seems to be backing down.
No, they're not. Good morning, Keith and Madison. Texas authorities
Texas chicken, not gonna end well, I don't think.
continue to clash with the federal government when it comes to our border. Texas seemingly finding a loophole in the Supreme Court's decision. The Supreme Court gave Border Patrol permission to cut or remove razor wire at the border, but they did not say anything about Texas putting up more wire, which, as you can see in this video, is exactly what the Texas National Guard soldiers are doing. Razor wire.
When they tell you not to do something, what do? You do more of it. There you go. That pisses them off.
Defense lines along the border being reinforced. Governor Greg Abbott asserting the state's right to self-defense. In a letter posted on X, Abbott citing founding fathers James Madison and Alexander Hamilton, not leaving states to the mercy of outside threats. Abbott argues the federal government has failed to follow its constitutional duty to protect each state against invasion. Abbott writing it triggers the line acknowledging the state's sovereign interest in protecting their borders. That authority, Abbott wrote, supersedes any federal statutes to the contrary. Republican lawmakers in Washington expressing frustration over any deal on a bill that might clear things up.
The Biden administration went to the Supreme Court to say they want to make sure that Texas cannot keep their border secure.
So, Keith and Madison, it will definitely be interesting to see what happens next since Texas officials are not backing down. But looking ahead to tomorrow, Homeland Security wants to know by then what areas Texas is going to let them access, if any.
Man, that is a battle, Kennedy. A battle being waged on both fronts and one that is not slowing down. Kennedy, thank you.
Gotta take you to the southern.
So that's like WWE action developing. Let's take a look over here at Logan Airport. So it's just not Chicago. So let's show what's going on in Boston, Mass, where a couple of months ago the governor there wanted to know if people would let migrants into their house. I guess she got her answer. So let's take a trip to the East Coast and Boston, MA. Where the Tea Party took place and got lots of patriot stuff going on, but they got migrants out the wazoo in Boston too. So let's check that out.
Tonight, dozens of migrants are sheltering inside Boston's Logan Airport. Families, many with young kids, sleeping on blankets, pillows, and benches in the airport's Terminal E. As Massachusetts becomes the latest pain point in the nation's ongoing migrant crisis, struggling to find shelter for their growing migrant population. Now,
these people are like the Venezuelan ambassadors at O'Hare in Chicago that we can't seem to get rid of out of our airport.
more than 3,500 families.
I'm proud of the way Massachusetts stepped up with compassion and solutions for the influx of migrants that's testing states all around this country.
Do you think that there's enough support in place to help newly arrived families kind of navigate the system as it exists?
There is a shortage in immigration legal services and a shortage in people who are able to help, and more funding is needed.
With 8 sanctuary cities across Massachusetts, it's put a strain on statewide resources. Governor Maura Healey calling on the federal government.
Sound familiar, folks? Sound familiar? Sounds just like Illinois at this point.
To step up.
While Massachusetts did not create this problem, we're going to continue to demand that Congress take action to fix the border, to get us funding.
Alongside 9 Democratic governors.
Some more hopium, folks. We all know what hopium's about, and that's all you get is hope.
She signed a letter to Congress demanding, quote, Washington to work together to solve what has become a humanitarian crisis. Adding, states and cities cannot indefinitely respond to the subsequent strain on state and local resources.
I hope she put the right postage on that letter, because they just raised it recently.
Without congressional action. Chicago's O'Hare Airport facing a similar scene. Over 200 migrants still sleeping there as they await their housing placements. In Massachusetts, the existing shelter systems can house a maximum of 7,500 families, a limit they reached in November.
The resources that we have, we no longer have them, so it's being very close to impossible for us to continue to house them.
According to the governor's office, 600 families are on the wait list for shelter, instead staying at the airport, local churches, or overflow temporary shelters. Massachusetts launched a clinic in the fall to help thousands of migrants staying in the Commonwealth apply for work authorization in the United States.
People are working, we're going to have people exiting from shelter.
So that's Brandon's plan too, is get people working and self-sufficient. He talks about that all the time, how all he needs to do is get them working and then they'll be able to get out of shelters. I don't think so. The cost of living in Chicago has not gone down with inflation, folks. It's actually gotten worse. You're going to have to support these people for the rest of their lives at this point.
That much quicker.
The latest effort to ease the stress on what's become a persistent issue.
Okay, Maura Barrett joins us now live in the studio. I want to go back to those families in Boston. Do we know how they're doing tonight?
Well, Tom, it's our understanding that until they can get into those emergency assistance shelters, they'll continue to sleep there, and there's that massive wait list. Now, I've reported on the migrant issue in Chicago, but the thing that's unique about Boston and Massachusetts specifically is that they were already facing this massive housing crisis that came before the migrant crisis. So that's just an additive issue, and it's such a big deal that the governor is asking to dip into their surplus funds, using $700 million of it to help with the shelter system.
Yeah, it's just snowballing.
$700 million. Oh my God! And that surplus she's just gonna flush down the toilet. Just gonna flush that.
There, okay. Well, we thank you for that.
Wow.
Thanks for watching.
So there you have what's going on in Boston. Boston beans. Let's go here to a little political discussion about what's going on between Brandon and
my friend used to pay
the Chris Christie of the Midwest, J.B. Pritzker. So, hope you guys are having a good day. This is Migrant Mayhem, and we're giving you guys an update on the migrant crisis in Chicago. And here's what the political analysts have to say about the loggerheads that Let's Go Brandon and the Chris Christie of the Midwest have have encountered recently.
Governor J.B. Pritzker and Mayor Brandon Johnson on the next steps to house migrants. With insufficient money available to open any new city shelters, Johnson would not say.
And there's no good news here. As they talk about this, just keep in mind that there's no good news.
Whether he would extend the February 1st deadline that evicts migrants from shelters after 60 days. Now, earlier this week, the governor said he's waiting on the city for a plan.
NBC7 political analyst Laura Washington is here to help sort it all out. Laura, good morning.
Good morning, guys.
The governor says that the city needs to tell the state where to put the resources. The city says that they have. What's going on here?
It seems like there's a bit of a miscommunication here. You think they would get it together. The city says that they've given the locations. The state has suggested that the locations are unacceptable because Johnson's saying, let's look outside Chicago, and I think the governor's going to resist that.
Well, let's talk about that, because Mayor Johnson says that the state can build shelters anywhere, not just in the city of Chicago. Is that true? Does the governor have the power to mandate the creation of shelters in other communities, or do municipal leaders in other communities have to sign on for that?
I think there needs to be some cooperation, and these other communities have said that they don't have the capacity. The governor could issue an executive order and order these cities overrule them.
Don't put it past JB. He's known to do executive orders.
I don't think he's likely to do that. I don't think he wants to do that. His spokesman has said it's important to have these migrants in these shelters in Chicago because that's where all the resources are.
So what happens by next Thursday when the deadline happens for it to happen for the migrants?
That's a good question, Val, because it's going to be cold, and we are.
Yeah, the next couple of days are going to be like 35, 40. It's foggy, and we still got 1.5 feet of snow. It's 35 degrees right now, very foggy. It's warm, but the snow is starting to melt, but it's still cold.
Already know that all the shelters are capacity now. I suspect that the mayor's going to have to extend the deadline once again because there aren't going to be new shelters built by then.
No new shelters, but we're still having new migrants arriving by the day.
By the day. And
one bus yesterday, who knows how many buses we'll get today. I just released a video this morning where we went to do some migrant hunting in Glenview, folks. Check that out.
And we're also worried about, moving them from the shelters into work opportunities. There's been a number of them, hundreds of them that have, but not at the pace that we need to get people
work opportunities. Give me a break. What are these people going to do? They can't even speak English.
And not all are eligible.
They're going to be selling Kit Kats on the subway.
Yeah, all right. Laura Washington, good to see you as always. Appreciate it. Thank you.
So there you go. There is our update for today. I am DJ Wonder Chrissy. Like, share, and subscribe, folks, because it does matter to get this out to the masses. We got to get as many likes and shares as we can, and some subs. If you could sub, that would appreciate it. We're bringing you guys awesome channel. We're not just migrants. We do casino. We do some foodie stuff. We do a little bit of everything. We do car shows, classic cars. We are an awesome channel, up-and-coming channel, so subscribe if you can. As I said, comment down below where you think this is headed for in Chicago and Texas. What do you think is ultimately going to happen? And if you've been watching it, this is a train wreck. This is just a train wreck in slow motion. So keep tuned in here. We're going to give you first eye view into this train wreck. And that's all I have to say. And as we end every show, we say, God bless America and God bless Donald Trump, folks. Thank you, thank you, thank you. DJ Wonder Chrissy over and out for Migrant Mayhem.